Back at it again with another cartoon recommendation, this time being for the French series Lastman, which was based off a comic book series of the same name, though the comic is more of a fantasy series from what I've gathered online, whereas the cartoon is a darker adult prequel to the comic that surprisingly was a Kickstarter project that succeeded with 26 11-minute episodes that even aired on TV in France and is currently available to watch on Verve. Now, the cartoon takes place in the heavily corrupted Paxtown, following Richard Aldana, a boxer who, after his mentor is killed, literally becomes the last man capable of protecting his mentor's daughter, Siri, from a cult hunting her down in order to use her as a gateway to a new world, which Richard has to fight off and run away from, as well as the horrifying monsters from this new world and various gangsters Richard has pissed off along the way, all while trying to get more information on the events going around him. And hey, if that wasn't enough, the police are after him and he even gets involved with a sort of death sport. Yeah, shit is pretty hardcore and fast moving here, which is honestly one of the best features of this cartoon. You see, 11 to 12 minute runtimes are sort of the norm for cartoons these days, which is fine for purely comedic shows, but for series that aim to tell ongoing stories, I felt that this time isn't enough, making certain aspects, whether it be character, action, story, comedy, feel rushed. Lastman, however, is able to balance everything beautifully, using its shortened time frame as an advantage to keep everything moving and to the point episode to episode, which I really have to give the series props for, as even most full-length series can run into issues in balancing and pacing. Another thing I absolutely love here is the overall 80s vibe it has without being too in your face about it. We got that over-the-top 80s like manliness with Richard himself being a punch first, think later type of guy, the level of violence and sex you'd find in an 80s anime OVA, a dark retro synth soundtrack with loads and loads of amazing tracks. I swear some of these beats just kick your teeth in with how badass they are, and the main theme, Fire, is absolutely fire. Let's not forget that title logo, which is all about that 80s aesthetic. Speaking of aesthetic, animation wise, while Lastman is pretty limited, the creative team behind the series did an amazing job in getting the most out of it. And when it needs to, it delivers some extremely badass moments that still stick with me. Really, it's refreshing seeing a truly badass and manly cartoon series, as there's only a small handful of them and an even smaller handful if we're getting into more recent titles. Which is why it saddens me that this series isn't quite talked about as much as it should be, considering it being a few years old by now. This is definitely not a cartoon that should go under your radar, especially since we rarely get adult cartoons of this nature. Now, I've seen a lot of people compare this series to Devilman Crybaby, with it having similar vibes with Expect Nature, demon hunting, dark synth music, and even looking a bit similar at times. Though really, once all that's out of the way, these two shows are very different. Now, there is no denying that Lastman, both as a cartoon and comic, is pretty influenced by anime, mostly 80s shonen and OVAs. Though it's not something I would say is on Crybaby's level, as the demon hunting aspect of Crybaby quickly transitions into a dark superhero story, whereas in Lastman it sort of stays throughout, while also adding a lot more crime, fantasy, and sport elements to the mix. But overall, if you're looking for a truly badass and manly animated series, then you just have to watch Lastman. And maybe check out the comic. I haven't personally yet, but I've heard fantastic things about it, and would also probably better explain certain story elements from the cartoon. But with that, I hope you check out Lastman and enjoyed this video. As always, I am Mr.Falconpunch. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.